Tonight, state government pledges commitment to endorsing annual immunization plan on polio and other vaccine-preventable diseases. Organized labor again rejects a federal government fresh minimum wage proposal. Senate passes national anthem bill to revert to old national anthem. And abroad, Palestinian gets more statehood support. Good evening and thank you for joining us on the Delta Television main news at 8. Joy Ocheyi is my name. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has restated his administration's commitment to embarking on policies and programs that will protect children's interests and prepare them for the future. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori stated this during this year's Children's Day celebration held at the Cenotaph, Asaba. Pere Botu reports.
Governor Oboriwori, who was represented by the state deputy governor, Sir Monday Oyeme, assured children in the state that his administration would continue to take concrete actions that would positively affect their lives, especially in areas of education and health. He noted that education was key to the proper upbringing of a child and advised children to beware of persons who say education was a waste of time. Governor Oboriwori noted that the theme for this year's celebration, enhancing the total well-being of the Nigerian child through quality education and skill development, was apt as the state government was aware of the positive impact of education on the development of children. Governor Oboriwori felicitated with the children, saying the celebration provided a platform for stock-taking on measures taken to protect children. He pledged his commitment to investing in sustainable and inclusive access to education at all levels, adding that government had recruited over 2,000 teachers for primary and secondary schools to further increase access to education. Governor Oboriwori said his administration had expanded the capacity of some tertiary institutions and granted bursaries to students to ameliorate the financial problems faced by students. He enjoined parents and guardians to inculcate respect, integrity and hard work on their children and wards, while decrying the high rate of social vices, especially drug abuse, cultism, prostitution, and cybercrime, among others.
We have to put measures in place to help eradicate these vices, which are fast eroding our social and cultural values we hold so dear in this part of the world. Everything you do, every action you do, be it individual or collectively, please bear in mind the impact it will have on you, your family, and society in general. Please.
The State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Community and Social Development, Honorable Pat Ajudua, said May 27 every year was a special day set aside to honor and celebrate children and draw attention to policies and programs that affected their welfare and general well-being. Honorable Ajudua observed that this year's celebration drew attention to a critical area of development of the child, education and skill development. She noted that the role and value of education was being questioned, hence the critical need to re-engineer the thinking of children to know that education was a tool to unlock their future. The Speaker of the Children's Parliament, Master Emmanuel Udoka, said children were the building blocks of human capital development, stressing that investing in the education of children was the gateway to a better future. The Children's Day celebration, which was attended by schools from different parts of the state, featured mass past by pupils and students, as well as cutting of the celebration cake. I am Pere Botu reporting.
As part of efforts to ensure quality primary health care, the state government has pledged its commitment to endorse an annual immunization plan for the state and local government areas on polio and other vaccine-preventable diseases. The state deputy governor, Sir Monday Oyeme, stated this during the second quarter of the 2024 State Task Force on Immunization meeting held at the conference hall of the office of the Deputy Governor, Government House, Asaba. Again, Pere Botu has details.
Sir Oyeme, who is also the chairman of the State Task Force on Immunization, said the task force was expected to ensure effective leadership and coordination of all immunization activities. He said the task force was expected to undertake a monthly review of the status of implementation of the annual immunization plans in the state and local government areas. Sir Oyeme noted that the review would give specific focus of high-risk areas of outbreak of vaccine-preventable diseases as well as direct appropriate action to mitigate any likely outbreak. The deputy governor said the Governor Sheriff Oborowori administration would ensure better healthcare services, hence the state government would support local government immunization task force for optimal performance. He urged stakeholders in the primary healthcare sector to work seamlessly to ensure that the policies and programs were achieved for the benefit of the people.
We need excess or amount X to fund it, but this is the only thing we can do based on the limitation that we have. So we need this extra for this particular thing. I think if you do that, then we'll be able to push. If we go to say, government fund HBNs more, it's like a general statement. But we have these programs, and we would need like this to be able to be very successful in this program.
While calling for support and awareness on the human papilloma virus HPV vaccine and other vaccine-preventable diseases, Sir Oyeme said the meeting would address challenges bedeviling the effective delivery of primary health care. The functioning executive director, Delta State Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Paul Yinkore, gave an overview of the challenges, prospects, and achievements of the agency in disease control at the primary healthcare level, while the state immunization officer, Dr. Ogbechi Ogochukwu, and the state coordinator of the World Health Organization, Dr. Faith Ireye, stressed the need for adequate counterpart funding, among others. The head of personnel management, Ugele South Local Government Council, Mr. Austin Imaduku, highlighted the challenges and gaps between the Primary Healthcare Development Agency and local governments and sued for more effective working relationships to enhance quality healthcare services. I am Pere Botu reporting.
The state deputy governor, Monday Oyeme, had said the administration of Governor Sheriff Oborowori is making the People's Democratic Party (PDP) stronger. Sir Oyeme stated this during the presentation of PDP membership cards to business mogul Chief Festus One at Ward 6, Ogume, in Ndokwa West local government area of Delta State. Over again to Pere Botu.
The deputy governor said Governor Sheriff Oborowori's people-oriented programs had attracted more members to the PDP. Sir Oyeme stated that Governor Oborowori had given political appointments to several persons, including sons and daughters of Ndokwa ethnic nationality, noting that the administration was also providing physical infrastructures across the state. He urged members of the party to accord Chief One support, saying that his membership would boost the party's membership strength. The Delta North PDP chairman, Chief Moses Idu, welcomed Chief One into the party and expressed pride over support for the party in Ndokwa West. He appealed to members to use that numerical strength to make Ndokwa West a totally PDP local government area and also use that strength to win in the upcoming council elections. In his response, Chief One expressed satisfaction with his joining the People's Democratic Party and promised to attract more members to the party. I point on the occasion which was witnessed by the secretary of the party in the state, Engineer Dan Osai, the chairman of the party in the area, Ogbuefi Lucky Okuji, the managing director of the Sopadec, Chief Festus Ochonogo, among others, was the presentation of the PDP membership card to Chief One and others who joined the party. I am Pere Botu reporting.
The organized labor has again rejected a fresh minimum wage proposal by the federal government. This time, the organized labor, comprising the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC), rejected the offer of the federal government to pay 60,000 naira as new minimum wage. The organized labor also shifted grounds from its 497,000 naira stance last week to 494,000 naira. A prominent member of the tripartite committee for the negotiation of a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers said that the federal government and the organized private sector side of the talks proposed a 60,000 naira monthly minimum wage as against the 57,000 naira they proposed last week when the committee last met. The government had initially proposed 48,000 naira and 54,000 naira last week, which were also rejected by the organized labor. The organized labor had also presented 615,000 naira as the new minimum wage, but saw reasons to drop their demand to 497,000 naira last week and then to 494,000 naira today. Today's meeting was, however, deadlocked as talks ended without an agreement on what to pay as a new minimum wage. The tripartite committee for the negotiation of a new minimum wage for Nigerian workers is yet to agree on a new minimum wage just about 3 days before the May 31st deadline the labor unions gave to the government to conclude the negotiations. The labor unions said the current minimum wage of 30,000 naira can no longer cater for the well-being of an average Nigerian worker, lamenting that not all governors are paying the current wage award, which expired in April 2024, 5 years after the Minimum Wage Act of 2019 was signed by former President Muhammadu Buhari. The act should be reviewed every 5 years to meet up with contemporary economic demands of workers. The Senate has passed the National Anthem Bill 2024 to revert to the old national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee. The bill, which speedily passed first and second readings on Thursday, now awaits assent into law by President Bola Tinubu. The Senate passed legislation to swap the national anthem from Arise, O Compatriots to Nigeria We Hail Thee. The old anthem, composed when Nigeria gained independence on October 1, 1960, will replace the current anthem. The bill seeks to revive the anthem that was dropped in 1978 during Olusegun Obasanjo's military administration. Lillian Jean Williams, a British expatriate who lived in Nigeria during its independence, penned the lyrics for Nigeria We Hail Thee, while Frances Badi composed the music. The anthem played a significant role in shaping Nigeria's national identity and unity during the 1960s and late 1970s. Senate leader Senator Opeyemi Bamidele emphasized the anthem's impact that, upon rendition, it inspired deep patriotism among Nigerians. The Senate began a public hearing on an act to provide for the national anthem of Nigeria and related matters. Senator Bamidele, who represented the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, at the hearing said the second stanza of the existing national anthem shall be the national prayer. However, he said, if considered necessary, further consultation will be had on the matter. In his contribution, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, said the amendment should not come only by legislative fiat, but should be subjected to wider consultation. He stated that the reversal was not out of place, but should involve a wider process to ensure it is a true reflection of the generality of the wishes of all Nigerians. Last week, the bill seeking to make a provision for Nigeria to revert to its old national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee, scaled through a second reading at the Senate before it was eventually passed today. The House of Representatives has passed the bill. For the return to the old anthem to take effective, the bill will have to be harmonized by the two chambers and gets the president's nod. The Senate has pardoned and recalled Senator Abdul Ahmed Nengi, who was suspended on March 12, 2024. The recall process was initiated after a motion moved by Deputy Minority Leader Senator Abba Moro, who expressed regrets on behalf of the suspended senator. Senator Abba Moro pledged to assume full responsibility for Senator Nengi's actions, acknowledging the gravity of the suspension. The senator's conduct during the period of suspension has been a matter of scrutiny and debate within the legislative body. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, emphasized the senator's resourcefulness and described him as a valued member of the Senate, adding that the decision to recall Senator Nengi transcends religious and ethnic divides. Few days after the federal government sued the 36 states governments to the Supreme Court seeking full autonomy for local governments, Attorney General of the Federation AGF and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi has called for the scrapping of state electoral commissions. He stated this in Abuja at a national dialogue organized by the House of Representatives. The AGF said many have proposed that there was need for scrapping the State Electoral Commission. He said the local government functions and powers should be transferred to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, because the State Independent Electoral Commission remains an appendage of the incumbent governor and it behaves as such. The president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Comrade Joe Ajaero, has called for better pay, insurance cover and pension for journalists across the country. Comrade Ajaero made the call when he visited the president of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Dr. Chris Isigozo, in Abuja. He explains that while journalists played significant roles in the fight for independence and the current democracy Nigerians are enjoying, it is unfortunate same people are begging for the salaries to be paid. A Labour leader said that journalism is getting worse by the day. Though technology has enhanced the practice, the welfare of journalists is being underplayed. He noted that while journalists are a group of professionals fighting for everyone, nobody was fighting for them. The Labour leader stressed that non-payment of journalists' salaries should not be encouraged and should be treated as a criminal offence. Comrade Ajaero acknowledged that though it has not been easy for publishers, he said that should not warrant them not to do the needful for their employees, particularly payment of their salaries. On his part, Dr. Isigozo said AUJ was doing a lot to address abnormalities in the country's journalism professions. The Benue State House of Assembly has repealed the law for maintenance of former elected governors of the state and their deputies. The bill was passed and assented to by former Governor Samuel Ortom in the twilight of his administration in May 2023. The bill to repeal the law was presented by Honorable Douglas Akia, Chairman of the House Standing Committee on Appointments, Public Service and Pension Matters, who represents Makurdi South constituency in the State Assembly. Honorable Akia said the law was not enacted in the interests of the states, which has lean resources to finance other pressing obligations. Some other lawmaker noted that the mega resources of the states makes it unwise to spend exorbitantly on former governors and their deputies when the state has a huge infrastructure gap and debt burden. There had been public outcry since the bill was passed by the Ortom administration, particularly from then opposition party, which later won the governorship election. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has insisted that the May 30 seat at home remains sacrosanct across the southeast and that every resident in the zone should stay at home in commemoration of Biafra Heroes Day. The IPOB had earlier directed the West African Examination Council and the authorities of Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, to shift their respective engagements earlier scheduled for the day, while declaring the day as a day to celebrate its fallen heroes during the civil war between 1967 and 1970. The pro-Biafran group, in a statement today signed by its spokesman, Mr. Ima Powerful, said the remembrance of all those who fought for Biafra freedom and sovereignty remains imperative, and no government or security agency has any authority to harass any innocent person during the event. Mr. Powerful stated that all social activities in Biafra land are banned. He added that markets, schools, banks, government and private businesses are not allowed to open, adding that the entire southeast will be on lockdown from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on that day. The group stated that all Biafran heroes and heroines must be remembered, including Bruce Merrock from the USA, who sacrificed his youthful age for Biafrans. Consumers and traders have lamented the scarcity and high cost of fresh tomatoes and pepper in the markets in the state. Gift Unosha spoke with traders in the Ogbogonogo market, Asaba, on the development.
The traders and consumers expressed concern over the worsening scarcity of tomatoes and pepper in the country, which has affected patronage and turnover for customers and traders. A big basket of tomatoes, which sold for 35,000 naira and 37,000 naira a month ago, now sells for 125,000 naira. Same goes for fresh pepper, with the high price forcing sellers not to sell 200 naira pepper in the market. The list price of pepper is now 500 naira. Some of the sellers said they had not been able to restock because of the hike in price, adding that customers' patronage has also reduced.
So the tomato now is too high. Even when we sell this for 10,000, our money goes to complete. We are just doing it because it's our business. We don't have one naira inside this tomato. Even pepper is something. Everything is too high.
Then we are selling cup 700, 800. But now we are selling cup 2,500, 2,700. Now we don't have pepper of 200 naira in the market. Pepper is 500 naira upwards. Bag of pepper is 100,000, 500, 100,000, 700.
I know they get customers and they get before even because everybody drop, change another soup. So they move again.
Some consumers also expressed worry over the high price of tomato and pepper, which had affected their purchasing power, quality and quantity of their cooking.
Mostly tomatoes is very, very high. Before, when you use 1,000 naira to cook potted soup, the tomatoes will be plenty. But now, even if you buy 10,000 naira, you will not see anything in the pot. The pot of soup now is very, very short. It's very, very poor.
We couldn't even afford it last week because buying tomatoes, penta of tomatoes, 10,000. The meat side, if you go to meat, is something else too. You can't even buy meat of 2,000 and cook. It will not reach. You understand? So life is very, very hard now. It's not easy for everybody. Now everybody is suffering, especially foodstuffs in the market. Very expensive. Look at a mother will use 10,000 naira to purchase for one penta of tomatoes. Let's say a mother of 4. How can it be enough? It's not enough. Everybody is suffering. The masses are suffering. The children are going hungry.
They also blamed the high price of the crops on the fuel subsidy removal and food insecurity and appealed to the federal government to intervene. Gift Unosha reporting.
Still to come on the Delta Television main news at 8. President Bola Tinubu to address joint sitting of the National Assembly. Details of this and more shortly. Stay with us.
Where is Glory?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello? Where Glow now?
I take you.
Glow don't go village. Try all our customer abi.
Everybody pay attention. See, now Glow berekete 10x. Now in they dash me 10 times the credits when I load. Can't even summer me double data join.
Yes. Wait, so with 1.5 wey they give all of us, so you dey enjoy up to 15,000 naira credit and data.
And I say I never finish you. See, now say we enjoy if una join Glow berekete 10x. Una go get 1,000 naira welcome credit. You just carry your phone, dial *777#. Finish.
Correct.
Glow, you don't win. You don't do.
Una still dey here. Hello, please, I'm looking for Glow. Please save now Glow be dey fine. Now Glow be dey go. Okay, so
enjoy 10 times the value of your recharge on Glow Berekete 10X. You also get 1,000 naira for calls and data and double data bonus on your subscription.
Thank you for staying on. You are watching the Delta Television main news at 8. President Bola Tinubu will address a joint sitting of the National Assembly tomorrow. The clerk to the National Assembly, Mr. Sani Tambuwal, in a statement said the president will address the lawmakers on the state of the nation and commission the National Assembly Library. The statement informed senators and House of Representative members that it would also be part of events to commemorate 25 years of unbroken democracy and legislature in Nigeria. Lawmakers are expected to be seated by 9 a.m. President Tinubu, who was sworn in on May 29, 2023, will mark his first anniversary in office tomorrow. The administration introduced some reforms like petrol subsidy removal and unification of the foreign exchange windows, but continues to battle effects of such policies with soaring inflation rates and high cost of living crisis. The president's handling of the state of the economy has attracted criticisms from many Nigerians, including elder statesmen and the organized labor like the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC). The global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
Spain and Norway today formally recognized a Palestinian state as Ireland follows suit in a decision slammed by Israel as a reward for Hamas more than 7 months into the devastating Gaza war. The 3 European countries believe their initiative has a strong symbolic impact that is likely to encourage others to follow suit. As Oslo's formal recognition went into effect, Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide hailed the move as a special day for Norway-Palestinian relations. Shortly afterwards, Spain followed suit, with government spokesman Pilar Alegría confirming the cabinet had formally recognized Palestinian statehood, qualifying it as a historic day. Earlier, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez said such recognition was an essential requirement for peace, insisting the move was not against anyone, least of all Israel, and was the only way to secure a future Palestinian state living side by side with the state of Israel in peace and security. He added that the decision also reflected Spain's outright rejection of Hamas, which is against the two-state solution, and whose October 7 attacks led to the Gaza war. Ahead of his own cabinet meeting, Irish Prime Minister Simon Harris said it was an important moment that sent a signal that there are practical actions that can take a country to help keep the hope of a two-state solution alive. The plans were unveiled last week by the prime ministers of the 3 countries, sparking a furious response from Israel, further exacerbating diplomatic tensions, notably with Spain. Gaza health authorities said Israeli strikes on a tent camp in an evacuation area west of Rafah killed at least 12 people today, and tanks advanced to the center of the southern Gaza city for the first time after a night of heavy bombardments. 2 days after an Israeli airstrike on another camp stirred global condemnation, Gaza Emergency Services said 4 tank shell hit a cluster of tents in Al-Mawasi, a coastal area that Israel had advised civilians in Rafah to move to for safety. At least 12 of the dead were women, according to medical officials in the Hamas militant-run Palestinian enclave. In central Rafah, tanks and armored vehicles mounted with machine guns were spotted near Al-Awada Mosque. The Israeli military said its forces continue to operate in the Afar area without commenting on reported advances into the city center. International unease over Israel's 3-week-old Rafah offensive have turned to outrage after an attack on Sunday set off a blaze in a tent camp in a western district of the city, killing at least 45 people. Israel said it had targeted Hamas commanders and had not intended to cause civilian casualties. Global leaders voiced horror at the fire in a designated humanitarian zone of Rafah, where families uprooted by fighting elsewhere had sought shelter, and urged the implementation of a world court order last week. Papua New Guinea ordered thousands of residents to evacuate from the path of a still active landslide today, after parts of mountain collapsed, burying at least 2,000 people. Officials said the odds of finding survivors were slim, even as relief teams have trickled into the difficult-to-access northern Enga region of the Pacific nations since Friday. Heavy equipment and aid have been slow to arrive because of the treacherous terrain and tribal unrest in the remote area, forcing the military to escort convoys of relief teams. Residents have been using shovels and their bare hands to search for survivors. The United Nations said today that 6 bodies have been recovered so far, and the total affected population, including those needing possible evacuation and relocation, was estimated at 7,849. An international organization for migration officials said that a bridge had collapsed on the main highway to the site, forcing aid convoys to take longer routes. Papua New Guinea regularly experiences landslides and natural disasters that rarely make headlines, but this is one of the most devastating ones it has seen in recent years. The government has estimated that more than 2,000 people were buried in the landslide, which occurred early Friday, sharply higher than the United Nations figure of 670 possible deaths, and some local officials much lower estimates.
Let's join our business news desk for more happenings in the business sector.
The Naira has appreciated to 1,339.33 per dollar at the close of trading on the official window yesterday, gaining 9.68% over Friday's 1,482.81 per dollar. According to FMDQ data, which houses the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market, the daily turnover dropped to $180.80 million from $556.25 million on Friday, indicating a 67.50% decline. At the official market, the Naira traded at an intraday high of 1,501 per dollar and an intraday low of 1,310 to dollar yesterday. At the black market, the Naira traded at 1,520, indicating a 1.32% depreciation from 1,500 Naira exchanged on Friday. The local currency on Friday closed flat against the dollar, ended the week marginally strong at the official foreign exchange market after weeks of weakening, a situation that the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, termed seasonal fluctuation. The federal government has disclosed plans to unveil an economic emergency plan aimed to stabilize the nation's economy and set it on path of continued growth. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, disclosed this during the ministerial sectoral update briefing held in Abuja today. According to him, the plan, which awaits the president's approval, is in furtherance of his mandate to restore the Nigerian economy through macroeconomic reforms. Speaking on the various interventions of the government under the Tinubu-led administration, Mr. Edu noted efforts to ensure protection of the poor and the vulnerable at a time of heightened cost. Speaking further, the minister announced that the revenue base of the federal government has been totally revamped and strengthened to meet the obligations of the government.
A Christian festival of praise and worship is scheduled to be held tomorrow at the Event Center at Asaba as part of activities lined up to celebrate Governor Sheriff Oboriwore's first-year anniversary in office. The Praise and Worship Day, which is preceded by a Thanksgiving service held at Living Faith Church, Asaba, on Sunday, promises to be a day set aside to glorify God with gospel artists from all over the country participating and will begin at 11 a.m. A statement signed by the Publicity Subcommittee called on party faithful, political stakeholders and other Deltans to join the governor in praising and worshiping God for an amazing year filled with exploits in projects delivery and exponential human capital development as encapsulated in the MORE agenda. The praise and worship will feature Mercy Chinwo, Frank Edwards, Evangelist Emmanuel Ofano, Buchi Asoekiye, Evangelist Jerry Ekbekuru, Tisio, among others. Following their heroic performance in the finals of the UEFA Europa League, Nigeria's Super Eagles winger Ademola Lookman and his Atalanta teammates are set to receive Bergamo's highest honor. The team put up a superlative performance to outwit the German champion Bayer Leverkusen 3-0, with Nigeria's Lookman scoring all the goals. The team will be awarded Bergamo's gold medal by the mayor of the city, Giorgio Gori. Gori said awarding the highest civic honor to Atalanta was a heartfelt decision driven by their gratitude to a team that filled the city with pride. Official ceremony will take place on Friday, May 31 at Palazzo Frizzoni. And still on sports, African Player of the Year Victor Osimhen has been ruled out for the upcoming 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against South Africa's Bafana and the Cheetahs of Benin Republic. Osimhen is injured and ruled out for 4 weeks and will not be available for the Super Eagles games. Coach Finidi George has called up Enugu Rangers left-back Kenneth Igboke as a replacement ahead of the qualifiers. And that's our news. Here is a thought for the day. Who you think you are each day completely determines the universe you live in. And just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. As part of efforts to ensure quality primary health care, the state government has pledged its commitment to endorse an annual immunization plan for the state and local government areas on polio and other vaccine-preventable diseases. The state deputy governor, Samande Onyeme, stated this during the second quarter of the 2024 State Task Force on Immunization meeting held at the conference hall of the Office of the Deputy Governor, Government House, Asaba. The organized labor has again rejected a fresh minimum wage proposal by the federal government. This time, the organized labor comprising Nigerian Labour Congress NLC and the Trade Union Congress TUC rejected the offer of the federal government to pay 60,000 naira as new minimum wage. The Senate has passed the National Anthem Bill 2024 to revert to the old national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee. The bill, which speedily passed first and second readings on Thursday, now awaits assent into law by President Bola Tinubu. And from abroad, we did report that Spain and Norway today formally recognized a Palestinian state as Ireland followed suit in a decision slammed by Israel as a reward for Hamas, more than 7 months into the devastating Gaza war. The three European countries believe their initiative has a strong symbolic impact that is likely to encourage others to follow suit. And that's our news. Thank you so much for being a part of it. On behalf of the entire news crew, Joy Ucheyi is my name. Good night.